Softube's Model 77 dual-layer synth is a fully modeled version of a series of legendary synthesizers originally released in 1977. These machines were among the first polyphonic synthesizers to come out of Japan and feature some special ways of doing things. But most of all, they are famous for their unique sound. Let's start with an example that should be familiar. As glorious as this sound is, many people aren't aware that the original synthesizer had a different sound when performed totally dry. For this reason, we included a single slider reverb that adjusts to K-time as well as dry-wet mix. Push it for that epic vintage sound. The original hardware disabled the programmable layer controls when presets were used. So instead, two performance sliders were available to adjust global filter cutoff and resonance for the high and low pass filters of both layers. You can select from two different sustain modes, or unison on the bottom left. The biggest difference is that sustain mode 1 retains the pitch of a note when released, while sustain mode 2 allows you to bend notes after the release. There are more differences, so play around to figure out what works best. But for monophonic lines, check out unison. We can assign 1 to 8 of our voices to the unison line to create a massive sound and even detune them in our expansion panel. Now, let's dive deeper and explore what we can do with the two layers of the synth. We can select our layer with the green and red buttons on the top left, and then use the mix slider to balance between them. Notice the LEDs of the layer level help us to visualize the output of each layer. The pan spread in the expansion panel helps us to achieve a stereo sound by panning each of the layers to one side. On a patch like this, it's very obvious since the sound of each layer is so different. This time the layer LEDs help us to visualize which layer is panned to which side. Just like the original hardware, we included the tone selector buttons to help you navigate through some classic starting points. Let's explore the top row presets. I like this third one. Now let's listen to only the lower level and select a preset. Okay, this one is cool, so now let's blend between the two. If I want to copy a layer to the other layer, I can use the arrows to the right of the presets. Let's copy the top to the bottom. You can see they are now the same. I can now make individual adjustments to each layer, or if I hold Shift while adjusting a parameter, I could adjust it on both layers at once. You can see that when I hold Shift, the color of the lever changes, indicating that I'm affecting both layers at once. Now that I essentially have the same sound on each layer, let's use the detune on one of the layers to create a chorusing effect and then pan spread to widen the stereo image. The original hardware was known for being an expressive instrument when performing. Let's explore the traditional monophonic aftertouch and compare it to the polyphonic aftertouch. These sliders are for global aftertouch. As I apply pressure, it applies LFO modulation to different parameters. However, in the expansion panel, I can set polyphonic aftertouch to each layer individually, so that each individual key has its own aftertouch. Just like the original hardware, the possibilities of expression are revolutionary. And of course, Model 77 comes loaded with 7 modules for modular, as well as 2 modules for amp room. Visit Softube.com to download and try Model 77 dual-layer synth today.